Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. My name is Liza McCarthy. If you don't know me, this is my Instagram. Make sure to follow me there at Liza McCarthy. And this is a fellow makeup artist that I do recommend following. And do make sure to check out my podcast. Link is down in the description. So this video is going to be basically all about how I shade the light skin. It can apply to any skin, and that's the method that I apply to dark skin and muted skin, basically kind of grayish tone, lightish tone, darkish tone, any tone you want, any skin color, it works. So you have to have a ready base for your skin, whatever color it is. Then click on the clipping mask and choose a color much darker, like shade 2 shades darker or so. And what I do really recommend is using textured brushes to basically contour the face. It's as if you're doing makeup. So kind of do that, and then go on to the Gaussian blur feature and Gaussian blur it. Then I'm going to do a layer on top of it, which is going to be a light skin layer, and I'm going to also select clipping mask and kind of do my highlights. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to make the face, the features, her whole face kind of pop. So adding highlights that are much lighter than her skin, as you can see, really gives the character depth and kind of makes her more interesting to the eye. And of course I usually do the Gaussian blur, then I merge those two together and do the Gaussian blur as well, a few percents or so, like 7. Then I'm going to do a clipping mask, and this is where I kind of work with a structure that I've made, and I use a much darker shade, and I kind of wipe off the excess. And that's the best thing about clipping mask, is that you don't kind of like go on to erase the previous layer, and you're in a whole separate layer doing your own separate thing. And I kind of darkened the areas I want to be darkened. So the first thing that we did, the sort of the Gaussian blur layer, was to indicate where there's going to be light and where there's going to be shadows and so on and so forth. And then this was basically for making it, enhancing the skin. And here I'm kind of playing with the line art. I sort of had something wrong there. As you can see, like there's a hair strand on top of the skin, so it's kind of like I had to work it out what was wrong with that sort of deal. But I'm still doing a tutorial for skin, so yeah, everybody makes mistakes, it's okay. I'm sorry, this voiceover is not scripted, and if you want something more scripted and more structured, do make sure to check out my podcast. Link is down below. So I hope you like digital struggles, and it's a podcast on Spotify, so that would mean a lot to me. I already have over 50 listeners, so thank you for listening and for supporting me. And yeah, I guess I did really mess up with the whole line art, because the line art is actually quite the hardest thing you could sort of. I don't do it all in one layer. It's kind of different layers for different segments of thing that I'm drawing, kind of. The hair is on a separate layer, the eyes are on a separate layer, and line art is quite hard. I do have to give you a tip. To enhance the sort of textural elements of your artwork, I really recommend using the noise feature. Just a bit, like a 5% or 4%. It just enhances the art so much more, makes it so much more pop out and not smooth. And I'm using kind of a medium blend or a light blend. Wait, let me check. It's a medium blend brush, and I'm kind of blending the dark spots. And that's kind of the best thing, as if it's a really nice brush and it's not so light to blend, so you do have to have a bit of pressure when you're doing that. And I'm going in kind of circular motions, as you could see. This help it to kind of layer the color better, and this really does give the sort of a really great effect, a dirty effect. And I just continue going on in those sort of areas with the same circular motion. Then I merge all the layers together and I remove the line art to see how sort of how 3D it is, if it makes sense, how it pops out, and if it could be on its own, you know what I mean, without the line art. I'm never gonna take the line art off, but just to see how good it pops off and how, you know, how interesting it is. I really recommend removing the line art while, you know, having this sort of stages. And then I do the highlights. As you can see, the highlights, I use them with a smaller brush because they're not really as dominant as those shading, you know, as the shading that I have. And I tend to kind of let the corners be dark, as I would imagine. I do not know where my source of lighting is, but I think it is to my left, basically to a right. And I really like, you know, having a smaller brush, you know, changing the kind of the size of the brush, making it smaller for art, like adding the highlights to the art, and this just enhances it so much more. And then I'm going in those rounded motions and blending it out carefully. I believe that after this layer, I just have a separate layer of correction. That's what I basically do if, you know, if I require more. And it's kind of interesting that, you know, when you have another separate layer of correction, it works. Or you could just already just like press on the alpha lock layer on the same layer of the skin, merge all of them down together and alpha lock it. But usually I would recommend to not ruin whatever has been blended already and just enhance it and add more features to make it pop. I really recommend to add a separate layer and add anything you want to the art. And I'm kind of working on that. Usually that's what I do, but I felt confident in this piece and I really am confident in her skin. So that's kind of good. That's a good sign. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for supporting me. Click the notification bell below and subscribe.